First question on the second row.
Scott Campbell with the score. Hey Shea, before game one, you talked about playing with the other Canadian guys and how you've been doing that over the years. What was it like to share the floor with Andrew in game one?
Yeah, it was fun. The stage, the moment, what's at stake. It's all things you dream about as a kid, and it was everything I imagined it to be.
Just a follow-up on that a little bit. You guys kind of exchanged a little shove back and forth, I think, in the fourth quarter, third quarter. I mean, you're both very chill guys. What was going on in that moment, and what does it say about what's at stake here?
Yeah, nothing more than two guys wanting to win. No malicious intent behind it, just wanting to win.
Do people kind of underestimate maybe the competitive fire that Andrew has, just given his demeanor and how he carries himself?
Yeah, he's a competitor. He's a winner. Plays the game the right way on both ends of the floor. Really good player. But yeah, he's a winner for sure. No doubt.
Tim, fourth row on your right.
Shea, Tim Reynolds with the AP. Mark just said that after a loss, nothing really changes with you guys. And I'm not asking you to contradict him, but it does seem like in those times where you guys are coming off one, there is a little bit more fire there the next time out for whatever reason. Does anything change coming off a loss, or whether it's a win or a loss, do you guys find a way to just kind of go into every game the same way, or is there something extra?
Yeah, it does feel like that. Now we like day-to-day interactions, like our moods. I think he's talking more so like those don't really change. The losses are a little bit louder, obviously, like they hurt more, and you try to you try to get better through them, and it's a lot easier to learn from a loss than it is from a win, just off of like the emotional aspect of it, and I think that's probably why it looks the way it does. But yeah, nothing like coach is right, like nothing really changes. The losses hurt a little bit more, I would say.
Second row here on the right.
Hey, Shea, drafteados from Spain. The other day we saw a video comparing your moves with Kobe Bryant moves, and they were pretty similar. I mean, the pump fakes, the mid-range shots, they were very similar. I wonder how much you studied Kobe's games to become the MVP that you are right now, and if you have the chance to meet him and maybe get some advice from him.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite player of all time. Never got the chance to meet him, to answer your question. But yeah, he, not only me, like kids all across the world, his influence has gone through the roof, and his legacy will be remembered forever because of the competitor and the basketball player that he was. Yeah, hopefully I'm somewhere close to that where I'm a basketball player one day. But yeah, he is a special talent, special person, and God rest his soul.
Here on the left, second row.
Jaime Hawkins Jr., NBA correspondent. My question to you is, going into game one, I felt as if you were ultra aggressive. And going into game two, I want to know how you balance being aggressive while also obviously trying to get your teammates involved, obviously being the focal point of the offense. So how do you have that balance, and does it change game by game?
I always try to be aggressive, and I never like predetermine it. I always like just let the game tell me what to do. So I guess last game I felt more often than not I had a shot or a play that I could attack on more than in the past, and that's just the way it went. So like the same thing will happen in game two. I'll read the defense and I'll play off my feel and my instincts, and if it's calling for me to shoot or if it's calling for me to pass is what I'll decide to do.
Marcus, back right.
I'm curious, Shea, do you, after you miss a shot that you know you make and you've made a million times, is it easy to put those away, or do they stick with you? And did this one maybe stick more because it was Drew?
They're easy to put away now. There was a time in my career where it wasn't, and you have to grow and learn through that. But yeah, I mean, like, I've just grown to learn, like, you control what you can control. Like, I shot the ball, I missed it. It's written in history. There's nothing I can do now. That is a missed shot, and all I can do is try to be better than the next shot. And that's what I focused on. That's my mindset. And at this point, it's like second nature. Like, I shot the ball. I try to make it. Every shot I shoot, I try to make. And sometimes it just doesn't go in.
On your right, Mark Spears.
Shay, Mark Spears, ESPN's Angscape. Kind of on the same wave. At what point do you let it go? Was it that? Have you let it go to game one? And then also as a leader of this team, do you come in the next day trying to get everybody else right mentally?
Yeah. I let it go. I let the. You talking about the whole game? Yeah, I let the game go as soon as I learn the lessons from it. As soon as I watch film, take what I need to take from it, and we do it as a group. After that, I let it go because the lessons are learned. There's nothing else you can do. And then honestly, the team has the same demeanor. So there's no, this team makes it easy. You don't have to rile guys up or lock guys in. We all have the same goal in mind, and we all know what it takes to win games. And we just, that's what's on the focus of our mind. And that's what we are focused on the next day. Being better and trying to win the next one.
Thank you, Shay. All right, we'll take questions for Jalen. Please raise your hand. We've got the mics around the room. First question. Back right in the red.
Myron Patton, OKC Sports. Jalen, after you looked at the film and everything else, did you take anything away in terms of what you can take in the game too? Like, for instance, like shot selection, things of that nature, just defensively, they went on a 12-2 run. Anything you take away from that game that you wish you would have done? Or is it just they made shots, they made plays?
Probably a little bit of they made shots and made plays to a certain extent. You never want to overlook the fact that a team made shots, and you try and look back at the film and see why they did that, what kind of defensive breakdowns we had to allow them to get the looks that they got. And then I think looking back at our offensive process, I thought we were pretty good throughout the whole entire game. So trying to find the balance of improving on offense and also finding just little small things that beat you late game. You know what I mean? It's not, these games really come down to one or two possessions, so it's the more we can find throughout the game little things to lock in on and tighten up, the better we'll be.
Joe, second row on the right.
Joe Varden, The Athletic. A couple minutes ago, Mark was up there talking about you and Chet being third-year players, and third-year players aren't typically counted on at a moment like this in the finals. Do you feel that sort of responsibility, and how have you managed it, knowing that you are just in your third year, and typically like what Mark said, this isn't something that that someone like you or Chet would find yourself in so early in your career?
Just try and think of myself as somebody that's very uncommon. I don't ever think that I'm in my third year, because then that allows me to make excuses. So I usually just go out there and play. Pressure is a privilege, so I enjoy being counted on and doing that. And I just think I've been counted on since, I feel like last year, to be totally honest, just in regards to being there for two and the rest of the guys. And now we're here in the finals, so I don't really see it that much different. But I never really look and I'm like, oh, it's only my third year. I just think the only time I really think about that is just there's so much more I can do and how much stuff I can get better at, but I never really try and use it as this is my third year and try and use it as an excuse, you know what I mean?
Next row back, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Along those lines, it was one of Shay's highest usage games of the season, highest shot totals of the season. We saw a lot of that in the Minnesota series as well, and I think a lot of that is they're loading up so much to him. When you know that that's there and you're the release valve for a lot of that, does that impact at all the way you think about those possessions? Does the ball feel a little bit heavier? Did you feel like you have to press more? When you know that you're sort of the release valve option there, does that impact the way that you think?
Not really. It's not really any different of a position that I've been in since I've been here. But no, the ball only feels pretty heavy when you get a grenade or something from anybody, and I feel like I've thrown my teammates plenty of those in the years that I've been here. So, but a lot of it is just like more staying ready to be the release valve or like be ready to make a play, and that's kind of the mindset that everybody on the team carries out. And that doesn't always mean that I have to like go jack up a shot, but just trying to create for others or even like get the possession moving in a different direction. Like there's a lot of things that I can do on the court offensively that don't involve like obviously scoring for that possession, but I try and think of it that way and just trying to make the right play.
Second row over here.
Hey, Jalen, draftados from Spain. We just asked Shea about a video that we saw of Kobe and him, like, plays were very similar, the pump fakes, the stopping, the mid-range, the turnaround jumpers. I was wondering if you have seen that and if what you think about that. And also, now that we're one game in the series, you guys have talked a lot about winning the days in between. I was wondering if you could take us through what that means and if you feel like you've won the day in between.
Yeah, first a Shea question. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities there. I feel like if you are really paying attention to basketball and watch the way he plays, it's a lot of similarities. It's cool that he can pick certain aspects of his game to like kind of mimic that a little bit and then add his own like touch to it. So that kind of shows the kind of player that he is, to be able to steal bits and pieces from his favorite players and be able to like put it into a game and work on it. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into him being able to do that. And then winning the days in between. I mean, you never really know if you want them until you play your next game, but all you can do is try and have the same routine that you've had throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, and try and mimic that as close as possible, eliminate distractions, not focus on what the series is at, focus on how you can get better. Like I said earlier for the first question, like you try and figure out small things to get better at during like the playoff run, during the finals, and basically whatever team can like figure out how to get better each and every game, each and every series usually ends up winning. So that's what we try and do, and that's what we focus on.
Michael, last question up front.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet in Toronto. I know these matchups are never really one-on-one, but you've had a fair bit of covering Pascal Siakam in Game 1. How do you feel about that kind of matchup against a guy who's just a little bit bigger and has kind of a three-level game in a way?
It's fun. You can't really ask for more than a guard and elite player in the finals. So obviously he's definitely battle tested. He won with Toronto, correct? Yeah. So he's done this. This isn't like his first time going through it. So I try and take that into account. And like I said, for me, I'm trying to get better every time we play. And then obviously him going at me the way he is, like unconsciously, is making me better. So I try and relish in that opportunity and just compete. There's going to be mishaps, there's going to be mistakes. He's going to score. He's a good player. But, you just try and make it as hard as you can. And, they do the same thing on the other end.
Thank you, Jalen.
Cool.
All right, we'll take questions around the room. Please raise your hand on 2 in the back center in the maroon. Towards the back, raise your hand. Yep.
Hi, Mark. Guilherme Giovannoni from ESPN Brazil. You guys already have been in a situation like that in the series against Denver, and you bounced back very well. Maybe the next game is not going to be the blowout that it was against Denver. How to control the anxious of your team if the situation is close in the game 2?
We have confidence and wisdom because of the situations we've been in over time. There's no team I'm more confident in being ready to play really in any situation than ours. I'm biased, obviously, but you also have to go make it happen. Those experiences don't guarantee you anything. They certainly don't carry over into the next experience, and so we've got the wisdom from them, we get the confidence from them, but when the ball goes up in the air tomorrow, the better team's going to win, and we want to do everything we can to be that team.
Jeff, 4th row on your right.
Jeff Zilgett, USA Today. Mark, you just saying make it happen. With the benefit now of having some time to watch the game, what didn't happen for you guys that you take away from that game and will apply to Game 2?
It's always tricky, because 1-point losses are emotional. and you got to be able to strip away the emotion from that. Understand there was a lot of things we did well in the game to build a 15-point lead. There's a lot of things we did well in the game that we certainly don't want to throw out. And there's a lot of things that we can improve on. We have a lot of runway here to improve. And Indiana does too. I'm sure they don't come out of that game feeling like they played perfectly either. And so that becomes the challenge after a game one of a series is you've now felt the opponent a little bit. You've thrown some things out there, learned some things from the game. And now we just got to improve at some tangible things that we think we can improve at. Indiana's going to try to do the same thing, and then the better team will win.
Next seat over, Tim.
Mark, you guys have been obviously very good after wins this season too, but after losses, it just seems like it goes up a notch. What, if anything, changes about this group when it is coming off a loss?
I think nothing. I think that's the trick is you don't want to be reactive to the last game because then you can be too high after wins. You can be too low after losses. We just get ourselves to neutral, understand every game's different. Every game is unwritten, and you go out there, the ball goes up in the air, and the team that competes better on that night wins. That's been kind of a mental habit for us over time, and we try to carry that over to every situation, and it's obviously very important in this situation. So, but I couldn't explain it beyond that. They just do a great job of getting themselves to zero and getting ready to compete in the next moment.
Jenny, over here.
Hey, Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You said on Thursday you wanted to go back and watch the defense in the second half. I'm curious what you saw. You mentioned at one point that disruption was the goal. Were you guys disruptive enough defensively in the second half?
Not as disruptive as we were in the first half, but that was obviously probably an outlier as well. There's certainly things we could have done better in the second half. I thought we got a little loose on different things, but I'm also careful in these settings, especially not to take away from what Indiana did. I mean, there's two teams out there playing, and they did a really good job in the second half of that game, certainly in the back half of the fourth quarter, to put themselves in position to get a win the way they did. And so they deserve credit for that. But certainly, when the door shuts and we're watching film, we're looking at it through our lens, through the things we can control. We thought we left some stuff on the table in that game. Like I said, I'm sure they feel that way too. But now we have to start the process of improving and growing in the series.
On your right, Dan, third row.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Mark, it was one of Shea's highest usage, highest shot attempt, lowest pass out games of the season. Just wondering what you saw from his offensive process and sort of what Indiana's doing to load up on him.
Yeah, they're high up the floor on him, both on the ball and with the initial coverage. I don't think that's necessarily specific to him. They've done that, quite a bit here in these playoffs, but that's how they showed the other night in game one. We got to the paint collectively as a team a lot. We got in there a lot. We did not convert enough on those plays, obviously. I thought there was just a lot of plays we just didn't finish. We didn't get the juice out of that squeeze. Some of that, again, is a credit to Indiana. I'm not trying to take anything away from the way they played, but we can be better in those situations, him and everybody else. I mean, he wasn't the only one in the paint in that game. So we have to continue to try to get there. And when we get there, we have to continue to try to find the most efficient shot. I thought, we could have improved that from last game.
Front right, Tim.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Mark, when you went back and looked at it, what stood out to you about Chet's offensive performance, and what can he do or what can you guys do to, get him going on that end? Yeah,
I don't think anybody played their best game. So I don't want to. Certainly, he didn't play his best game, but I don't think any of us did. That wasn't our best game, flat out, with anybody. What I will say is, like, he and Dub specifically, obviously, they've carved out huge roles on our team. They're a huge reason why we're here. They're in an uncommon position for third-year players. These are guys that are in their third year. Usually, delivering in the finals is not on the curriculum for third-year players, and they've thrust themselves into that situation, which is a credit to them. And now that they're here, they have to continue to do what they've done all the way through the playoffs, which is go out there, fully compete, learn the lessons, and apply it forward. And they've done a great job of that. I think you've seen that over the course of the playoffs. They haven't always played their best game, but they always get themselves ready to play the next one. The last guy I'm worried about with that is Chet.
Joe, next row back.
Joe Varden, The Athletic. I know you spoke about this immediately after game one, but the lineup change you made with Wallace for Hartenstein. Did you get what you wanted out of that change, and is it something you're going to stick with in the series?
I usually don't address plans for lineups and rotations in these settings. What I'll say is we have a lot of optionality that we draw on almost nightly. If you've followed our team throughout the season, I think you know that flexibility and adaptability is the only constant. We're never staying the same. I know we've started the same lineup in the playoffs, but our rotation night to night in these series has been incredibly variant. We think that's a strength of our team. I liked how we started the game, and I liked really everything we did to build a 15-point lead, and then we didn't deliver down the stretch collectively. But we're always trying to learn from it. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have options like that, you're allowed to move in and out of those options as you see fit. We understand the trade-offs of every lineup we put on the court, and we'll continue to try to make every decision we can to give ourselves the best chance to win. That's what we did in Game 1. Didn't turn out in our favor, but that's what we'll do in Game 2 and moving forward.
Coach Alvaro Martin of Ritmo. People harp on the youth of your team, but they play like 28 to 30-year-olds. They play old.
Yep.
To what extent is it this self-screening? Whoever comes in the door has to have a certain profile. And to what extent do you overload them to prepare them for the finals, for games like they've had?
It's hard to, it's a very abstract thing to understand, but we do have an uncommon approach. There's no place we'd rather be than in the finals. Even with a young team, these guys have an uncommon mentality with that, as I've mentioned many different times. I think Sam does a great job of understanding the person that we're bringing in the door, and then we do the best we can to put them in a great environment and help them grow. And how that all comes together, to equal this, I think the guys deserve a lot of credit for it, the vision they have for themselves. But it's hard to understand, exactly why that is. But I do know I have great confidence in the mentality of the team, the poise of the team, confidence of the team, maturity of the team.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
First question here on the left.
Tyrese, Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. You talked about hearing some of the doubt over the last summer. It kind of continues a pattern of your career, right, where you've talked about being, I think your phrase was no-star recruit, 12th in the draft, Sacramento traded you, all these things. Taking the broad view, what do you think it is about your game, specifically the way you play, that has made people underrate it at times, even as you've continued to climb levels? Like, what about your approach to the game makes it easy to miss what you're doing at times?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's unorthodox. That's a word that can be easily used. My jumper, the way it looks, that's always been criticized coming into the NBA. I think that was honestly a big part of it. And I think sometimes I have an effect on the game that isn't necessarily the gaudy box score numbers. And so the way our game is now, the way the game is digested by fans sometimes, I think it's a lot of box score watchers. And so if my box score doesn't look the way that it's supposed to, I think that can be a part of it as well. So I don't necessarily know the answer, but I know that it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. So, yeah, it's just part of it.
Again, Joe, second row.
Hey, Ty. Like the crew neck, by the
way. Appreciate
it. So you guys won the first 2 games in Cleveland. You won the first 2 games in New York. Just did, one game won the other night. How hard is it to do that? Is there a commonality between all these road victories you guys are picking up? And then for the other side, it's really hard if you're a home team in a playoff series to lose the first 2 and come back and win the series. So are you aware of all that, in addition to speaking of how difficult it is to do what you've done so far?
Yeah, definitely aware, right? But I think winning on the road is hard. Winning an NBA game is hard in general, and especially a playoff game, and let alone a finals game, right? It's not easy. But I think you're just trying to be as present as you can. Like that's the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing we've talked about as a group is this journey is going to be whatever it is, 18, 19 days until if there's a game 7. So you're trying to take it one day at a time, and that's how we've approached every playoff series that we've been in as a group. Is how can we take it a day at a time? So today it's about getting through the media stuff and getting to practice and locking in on what we got to do better for tomorrow. But we want to have a good practice day today. And I think that's just the way we are approaching it. Because if we try to look too far in advance, I think that's where, you have moments in today or yesterday that don't go the way that they should. So you're just trying to take it a day at a time. And that's the biggest thing that coaches preach to us and we preach to each other as a group is how can we just have a good day today to prepare us, for tomorrow. But, the journey to get here all year hasn't been about, when we get to the final. No, it's just been about taking it a day at a time, especially the start we had to the year. So we're aware of, and it's hard not to be, we're human beings. We have social media. We have friends and family, tell us all the numbers of, if you can win the 2 games at home, what it will, whatever it'll look like, or on the road, or whatever the case is. But again, you just try not to pay attention to it as best as you can, and don't let human nature creep in. Just try to take it a day at a time.
Mark Spears on the far right.
Yeah, Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape. 2 things. One, you mentioned the social media stuff, but some of your stuff is pretty funny. Is there anything that you saw that kind of tickled you? And then 2, I did want to ask you if you could reflect back on your courtship of Pascal and kind of like, hey, you're going to be here kind of mentality with it.
Yeah. First question. Yeah, I see a fair share of the absurd things that are on social media. Get a good laugh out of certain things. I think that's just a part of NBA Twitter in general. It's pretty funny stuff. And then as far as the stuff with Pascal, yeah, I can recall everything about getting him here. We were in Atlanta, had a pretty great conversation with him while I was at a dinner. I stepped aside. We talked on the phone for like an hour. I just wanted to have a conversation with him. Hey, is this something that you actually want to do? Do you want to be here? Because I think that the guys who have been a part of the nucleus of this group, we cherish this. We cherish this organization and what we've been able to build here. When you think every team to ultimately get to, win a championship or play at a high level, right? There's going to be a trade that happens, or you bring in somebody from the outside to come and be a part of it. And you don't want to make the wrong move, right? And if you go in for Pascal, you want to be about the right things. And I didn't really know Pascal too well, other than our small conversations when we would be at like Rico runs or something. So we had a great conversation, and I think we just very much so aligned on wanting to win, and that being the emphasis. Obviously, I told him that, hey, I think that we could really play well together. I think I can get you the ball in space and allow you to do what you do. And, he preached that there's many things that he could do to help me succeed. And we had, many conversations about it. But I mean, that being said, after that conversation, you still don't know if it's going to happen because a trade has to be made and all that stuff has to be aligned. But this was just a conversation that I initiated because I knew the rumors and I wanted to talk to him about it. Very thankful I did, and we aligned on those things. And I think it's a big part of why we are where we are, and that relationship that we have. We don't spend a lot of time together off the floor. Like, he lives downtown Indy, I live more up north, so it's not like we spend a ton of time together off the floor. But we talk very often, and it's a lot of basketball talk. And I think the biggest thing that I can respect about him is just his work ethic. He comes in the gym. I know he's going to be there every day. I know the exact hoop he's going to be on, so I try not to take his hoop. I let him get his one-on-one work in. And, I think that's seeing him work that hard makes me want to work harder, and I think that goes through our group. So, love having him as a teammate.
Right here on the left.
Jaime Jaquez Jr., NBA correspondent. My question to you is, obviously you guys, the Pacers and OKC, are both very young teams. Do you feel like if this is a moment that is kind of a changing of the guard where you guys are carrying the torch for the league and on to the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a conversation that is more so for, media talk and those things. I think, the changing of the guard really isn't necessarily fair because like guys like Bron, Steph, they're still playing at such a high level. So I don't look at it that way. I try not to think of the outside narratives that go into the result of them winning or us winning. Just try to approach it with, we want to win, and whatever the conversation is after, whatever that is, then it'll be what it is. You don't really have control that, as you know. I think it's cool to see young teams having success, and maybe what we're doing or they're doing could be a blueprint for other young teams in this league. But as far as those conversations, those are for the media. We just want to win.
Chris on the far right.
Tyrese, Chris Hagan, Fox 59, Indianapolis. You know how much people love basketball in Indiana. You've been reminded 100 times that it's been 25 years since they've been here. What's the sense of urgency to realize, like you said, it's hard to win a playoff series. It's hard to get here, to seize this moment now when it's just so close.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously the sense of urgency for Indiana fans and for everybody should be heightened because, you know, we always talk about you never know when you'll get this moment again or if you'll get this moment again. I had a great conversation with Steve Nash a couple days ago, and he said, hey, you're in a rare era. I've never been there. And I thought, damn, Steve Nash never been to the final. Like, that's pretty crazy, you know, and some guys don't get the chance to do that. And so I'm trying to live in the moment every day. And I think we talked about it as this season went on, especially early in the year when we weren't having success. I thought more and more about how I took last year for granted, the chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I felt like, wow, like I didn't know what this year would be, especially the way we started the year. Are we going to be a playing team? You know, could we be a first-round exit? Could we not make the playoffs? All those things were on the table, especially the way the year started. So I think you're just looking at it and trying to just live in the moment every day. And that's not even just a finals thing. That's a life thing, right? Like, we take every day for granted as human beings. That, you know, we go to sleep and we wake up and, you know, we take that for granted. We take for granted that, you know, that my legs work and that I'm breathing and I'm healthy, you know, all those things. So, yeah, you can always look at it from a bigger picture perspective, and that's important. But I think, yeah, that's why I'm just cherishing this moment and just really enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Thank you, Tyrese.
Appreciate it.
This concludes the session in here for today. Thanks, everybody. First question on the back left here.
Let's go right here. Fabio Malavazzi, NBA Brazil. Well, just from my point of view, I was in 2011 on BWB basketball camp with Masai, late B.J. Johnson, you know, all those cats. And to see that kid to achieve what you did so far, it's pretty amazing. You know, like, you know, this is your second finals, 3 times All-Star, you know, MVP of the, you know, Eastern Conference Finals. And I just want to see, because the way I see it, it's amazing, man. You know, see that kid come to be where you are now. How do you reflect on that transition?
Well, first of all, thank you. Appreciate that. That's very nice of you. But I mean, I think it's pretty hard to reflect, you know, when you're still in the journey. Obviously, I'm super blessed. Like you said, that little kid that was Basketball Without Borders would really. I mean, I had dreams, but nothing near what's happening to me in my life, you know, and what I've been able to accomplish. So I'm grateful, and for me it's amazing, and I'll forever be grateful, you know, to everyone that helped me throughout my journey, and it's great, but it's hard for me to reflect on it because I'm still in it, and I'm like I'm still chasing every single day, but I definitely am super grateful.
Next question here on the left.
Salut Pascal, Ismaël C de Radio-Canada. Tu as mentionné à Tyrese après la victoire que tu avais l'impression que vous n'aviez même pas bien joué. À quel point c'est un boost de confiance de mener après la première partie et d'avoir cette impression-là que vous n'avez même pas effleuré ce dont vous êtes capable?
Non, mais bien sûr que dans les matchs, ça fait... Parfois, tu apprends dans la défaite, tu vois. Donc, on a l'opportunité d'apprendre avec une victoire à la clé, mais ça signifie rien à la fin de la journée. Les matchs sont pas identiques, donc on doit aller au match prochain, essayer de faire mieux. Et bon, on va voir ce qu'on n'a pas fait bien et essayer de rectifier. Donc pour nous, c'est ça l'essentiel. Et à la fin, les matchs ne vont pas se ressembler. Donc on doit approcher ce match avec un nouveau focus, tout nouveau dans nos têtes. Et bon, essayer de voir ce qu'on peut faire.
Mark Spears on the far right.
Yes, Pascal. Kind of going on the first question, in 19, what were your fondest memories of bringing a trophy home?
What was my memories, you said?
Your fondest memories of that, bringing that home?
Like in
First time?
Cameroon?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was pretty cool. I mean, I think getting to go back home where you're from, I just, for me, I mostly think about like the inspiration that gives to all the other kids out there, just to know that like I'm from where they are, like and I'm able to do these amazing things. So it was just like a super humbling moment, just to go back and seeing the reception and just thinking about the next generation for sure.
Fourth row on the left.
Pascal Adiaga from ESPN Brazil. When you look back on those playoffs and what happened so far, such great moments, clutch moments, do you believe there's something different about those Pacers?
What do you mean, like
a championship aura, like?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, for us, we just focus on us. To be honest, we try not to look ahead. It's all about us, the moment, and yeah, like I don't really think about those things. I just think about us, and for us, it's game 2, which is the most important thing right now.
Front right.
Pascal, you spent a lot of time working with Jenny. Obviously, I know she's got a big impact on the staff. I was curious what your experience has been like working with her over the past couple of years, and what you think of her impact on your guys' group as a whole.
Yeah, Jenny's been awesome. For me personally, just like like being able to talk to her, get insights on the games, and I think for like when I came in, I was used to a lot of different things. Like I mean, she's mostly does like defense and stuff, but I was used to a lot of things from like Toronto or like all my like the stuff that we used to do, and coming back, to Indy and like having a different system and different things. So I had to really adapt to a lot of things, and she's been really helpful for me in that matter. We talk a lot about those things, and she gives me super great insights on what we want to do and what we want to accomplish as a team. She's been great that way. She's a great communicator, and also I just like her positive just energy about everything. I think it's mostly needed, like and even in these moments where sometimes like it felt like we didn't do well or whatever, she's always bring that positivity, which is needed for coaching. And yeah, she's done amazing for us, and she's a big help not only for me but for the whole team.
Tim here on this side.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. Pascal, right in front of you. You've been in the league long enough to know that when a team starts 10-15, or when it starts poorly the first couple months, it doesn't always get right. Sometimes things start bad and just stay that way. What was it about this group that allowed the opportunity to turn things around?
Yeah, no, it was I think when you look at those games, I mean, there was a lot of people in and out of the lineups. We had injuries. We had we lost a lot of games. Like just on some mistakes. So I think when you look at the overall record, it looks the same way. But for us, we just continue to chip away. Like we just continue to work hard, continue to improve as a team. And then when we got everyone back together, mostly like it was everyone healthy, it just started to get better, like for us. And I think it's just we're resilient. Like we're not gonna give up no matter what. And that's kind of like what helped us to just continue to chip away, get better. And for me, I always told the guys, come April, May, and June, we want to be our best. Like that's the goal as an NBA team. Like obviously you want to be in the mix, but you just want to play your best basketball at the right moment.
Fourth row towards the center.
Pascal here, Tencent China. Let's talk about the last play. You guys make tons of corner threes. Actually, you made a right corner three last game. But the last play, Alex Caruso was guarding you, and you made a cut to the basket instead of staying at the corner. So what was the decision-making process back then?
Well, I mean, I think it was like the end of the clock. I mean, I thought I knew Tyrese was going to shoot it, so I just tried to get a rebound, to be honest.
Tim, front right.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Last time you were in the finals, obviously you're a young kid, third-year guy. What's kind of the difference of the feeling of being a veteran now who's been here before versus being a third-year guy who there was a lot on your shoulders at that time as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a difference just because, again, at that time, like I won't want to say naive, but you're just going into it thinking like, okay, like this is just it's year 3 for me. Like we always had good teams. We always won. Like so everything just felt normal. It was just like, all right, like this is how it's supposed to be, Like so that's how it felt for me at that time. And I think for me now coming back, I have a little bit more appreciation for it just because of the journey and like understanding like how hard it is and how difficult like it is to get to this level and to this point. So I think just in terms of just maturity and just knowing all the experience that I've been through to get me back here, I have another level of appreciation for it. And I think the level of grind and play and just grit is the same because I always had that. But I just think the level of appreciation probably a little bit different.
Second row on the right.
Pascal, Jamal Collier, ESPN. Rick gives you guys a lot of freedom on offense to sort of just do it and figure it out on the court. Just kind of wondering what kind of advantage you think that guys gives you, or just why do you think that works so well for you guys as a team?
Well, I think it's cool. Obviously, we have like a point guard that obviously runs the show for us and get us in position and also is not just looking to get his. He's moving the ball. He's he's doing everything for the team. So he starts the engine for us, and we have TJ coming off the bench doing the same thing. Obviously, we have a lot of guards. So the personnel just is like people that just go out there and play. And for me, I like that type of play. Fast. I'm running, and we just being us and playing free basketball. I always love that. And so yeah, it's good that we have that freedom. But I think it's still organized in a way where like we have point guards and we have like guards that get us into whatever we want to get into.
Thank you, Pascal. Tyrese will be right up.
All right, thank you.
First question on the right, Jeff.
Jeff Zilgett, USA Today. Rick, it was alluded to the other night about how much the game has changed in your time as a head coach, but you've always stayed on top of the offensive evolution. And I wanted to know, what do you enjoy about the way the game is played today that appeals to your offensive sensibilities?
Speed, skill. I think the skill aspect is the thing that's the most compelling part of the game, and we're getting to a point now where everybody on the floor, not 100% all the 5 men, but all the guys 1 through 4 can make threes, drive it, make plays. And we're getting to a point now where more of the 5 men can do that than not. And so it's just it's made the game a lot more difficult to defend, obviously. But the skill aspect of it is, to me, always going to be the most compelling part about the beauty of watching the game and the challenge and the beauty of teaching the game.
Rick, Bob Kravitz from Indy Monthly, to your right.
Yeah.
Right. What sets Drew apart as a defensive player? He doesn't have jump out of the gym athleticism, but he's got great functional athleticism. What sets him apart, makes him good at what he does?
Well, he loves the challenge. He has a great intellectual curiosity about defense and the challenge of trying to. I mean, you don't stop players today. You try to make it hard. And he played with Shea on the Olympic team, and so they have familiarity. They're both from Canada. They probably have played a lot with and against each other over the years. But this is the ultimate challenge. A guy like him who's the MVP, and he's just so skilled, so quick, bigger than you think. Everybody talks about the lethal mid-range, but he makes threes easily too, and he lives at the free throw line. So there's no breaks. There's no breaks. But Drew he's just one of these guys that he has an equal focus on the defensive end as the offensive end, and it's a bit rare with today's players.
Again, on your right, Fred.
Rick, I'm curious to get your take. The Thunder foul a lot for a very good defense. Historically, normally really high-ranked defenses don't foul a ton. We're starting to see more in the league now. Like, you guys have fouled a lot during the playoffs, but have been successful defensively. Orlando fouled a lot during the regular season. Really good defense. Are you seeing anything different in the way the game is played today that kind of allows teams to be higher foul but still super successful and bake that into the strategy differently than how it used to be?
I mean, you're making it sound like we plan on fouling a lot. We're not. We're trying to defend well without fouling and to avoid unnecessary fouls. But the game's gotten more physical in the last year and a half, whatever, as changes were made to interpretations. And I'm a believer that that's the right way to go. Nobody wants to come to an NBA game and watch a free throw shooting contest and have a game last for 3 hours. And so, I don't know, the game's more physical. As far as the fouls, it's not something we want to do a lot of. And there are a significant number of good defensive teams that don't foul a lot too. And so, Boston comes to mind. They're a low foul team. But we're still working at becoming better and better and better. And certainly one of our challenges is to reduce fouls.
Tim, here in the front.
Tim Reynolds, AP. Rick, everyone's written a lot about how you were 10-15, and then the turnaround started around the 1st of January. Paris was right, a couple weeks into that. Did that week over there bring this team together in some ways? What did that experience coming out of it? Did you notice something new about your group?
Well, it was the middle latter stages of January, which was our turnaround month. I think we only lost 2 games that month. One of the games was in Paris. And so, we lost the first game in Paris. And we're playing against Victor, and we've got all the Paris fans there. There's a lot coming at us. It was literally us against, the entire world. We didn't play well that first game. We had a pretty quick turnaround without really the benefit of the practice day because of how the schedule had gone. And so we had to turn things around pretty quickly if we were going to have a chance to win the second game. So, we had a couple of very productive meetings, and there was a lot of conversation. I like to open up our meetings to conversations and sometimes listen to the players first, after a game like that. It was embarrassing. We lost by 30-something, and Victor went crazy, and all their guys were, played great. And so we talked through it, and it was an important moment going into the second game. This is a massive place. It's 20-some thousand, and just all these other challenges. And, we were able to galvanize for that second game, and it was big. And then, we stayed over, came home the next day, and then I think we had 2 days, and then we had a really difficult game with Detroit at home, who had kicked our ass, 2 or 3 weeks earlier in one of the Cup games, and and they were still like on the come. They were getting better and better and better, and so we really had to be tough for that. And then we had another tough game, and we finished the month pretty well. That month was key. The Paris trip, certainly probably part of it. We talked a lot about the Paris trip even before the season started and the challenges it was going to present, but also the opportunity that it would present. And, we had to manage, it's 2 games in 9 days. So, you get the front end. We had to get over there and do 3 days of media similar to this. And then, we had to have an off day as far as being on the court between days. And so, we had to figure some things out, but it certainly was a part of it.
Last 2 questions, Joe and then Dan on the right.
Rick, Joe Barton from The Athletic. Not only watching you guys play for more than a month now, but also listening and talking to you guys after these games and practices. I know how much of a focus rebounding can be and how occasionally it's a challenge for you. You won the rebounding battle on Thursday, 56-39. How were you able to do that, and how much of a factor was it in the win?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this after the game. We had turned it over so much and gotten they had gotten 20 more shots than we got. And so there weren't as many chances for them to get rebounds because we were just, throwing the ball away or they were stealing it or whatever. So, look, the possession stats are always going to be massively important. Ball security, rebounding, the offensive glass, all that kind of stuff. I don't think we're far enough into it yet to do a total analysis of everything. But like if we didn't win the rebounding battle and turned it over 25 times, I mean, there's no way we could have hung in and had a chance.
Dan, last one on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Rick, it was one of Shea's highest usage games of the season, lower pass out rate for him as well. We've seen something similar from you guys against Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland, against Jalen Brunson in the New York series. What did you think about the defensive process on that number one option in the first game? And is that something that, it may be counterintuitive, but something that you guys look to play to like, let's get the number one usage guy going, everybody else maybe keep their rhythm out of it?
Yeah, we're not looking to get Shea going. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, coming into the series, I have it in my briefcase, but their wins, losses in the playoffs. He was in the 30s in wins, and he was in the low to mid 20s in losses. And so, what you're saying doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? It's just, we want to make it hard. And look, each game in this series is gonna look different. I mean, every game and every other series we've played is just a playoff series is a series of 7 chapters. And each one takes on a different personality. Look, we don't want Shea getting 38 points. If we can avoid it. We don't want him living on the free throw line. We don't want him getting easy threes. We don't want him making that three at the end of the third quarter. I mean, that was a tough shot, but he banged that in on us. We got to make it hard on him. And look, everybody's pattern after a loss is to come more aggressively. So, he's going to be more aggressive. Williams is going to be more aggressive. Chet's going to be more aggressive. Their whole team's going to be even more aggressive defensively. And, the challenge for us is to be able to match that. And so, that's kind of it.
Thank you, Coach. Pascal will be right up.